As in years past, we are very excited to welcome back the Royal Canadian Air Force Snowbirds and the CF-18 Hornet, which are our two main acts this year. The great thing about it is that if you've been to shows previous, it's always great that the Snowbirds and the CF-18 bring a different show every time they come. Different pilots, and so it's really fun. We have the Harvards coming this year, we have a Spitfire, we have a Vampire. In fact, this is the first time that a Spitfire and a Vampire will be riding together in formation in the air, first time in Canada. It's a very historic plane, and we're very excited to have it here. It comes out of Waterloo, and we had a very good meeting with them when we met them in Las Vegas for the International Conference of Air Shows. So we're hoping that this year we'll have a good relationship, and it's really going to excite a lot of young fans, but as well it's going to excite a lot of historians, a lot of people who love Canadian warplanes.
The show has a lot of history usually associated with it. Why do you concentrate so much on the history of flight kind of here?
Well, where we're standing right now is actually an airport that was used back in the war, so I think the history is for sure one of our top priorities. A lot of our board as well has a lot of interest in that. In fact, the person that's in charge of kind of bringing in the performers is is still part of the military, and he is, you know, very in touch with all of that sort of stuff. But I think this airport kind of brings together that, and St. Thomas in general in this area. I think it's a really cool Canadian history lesson that everyone should come out and see.
It's a vintage aircraft, so this aircraft in particular and these type of aircraft in general have a lot of history behind them, both globally and certainly in Canada, with the RCAF starting during the war and continuing on until the early 1960s. So it is a privilege to fly these aircraft. You know, most of the ones you see around the world are in museums. They're not airworthy, and we're privileged enough to actually fly not just one or two, but we have half a dozen airworthy types of the Harvard, from a Mark II to a Mark IV. This particular one is a 1952 model. We have 1941 models, and like we were saying earlier, the base model is a 1939. So they are quite old, older than a lot of people alive today, and certainly older than any of the pilots we have flying them. So it is just that, a privilege. We're very lucky to do so.